I am so thankful for the life I'm living. Every day I feel really grateful for being able to spend time with my family, be of service to others, work on my passion project, explore my hobby, enjoy a curated closet, travel, and grow as a person. However, I didn't always feel that way about my life. In fact, my 20s were full of stress, self-doubt, insecurity, and chaos. Some people say your life is a sum of the life choices you make, and I cannot agree with that statement more. The truth is, I wouldn't be living the life I have now if I kept doing what I did in my 20s. So today, I want to share with you the 3 things I've stopped doing to live a happier life. The first one is letting my productivity define my self-worth. As someone who grew up in a humble background, I always knew I had to work hard to get anything I wanted. So even during my very young formative years, I already had the impression that I should be studying all the time, and I thought everything else was simply not productive. This led me to getting flying colors, and I was very fortunate to be given a scholarship. This, however, reinforced the idea in me that only certain things are ever worth my time. So even when I started working, my mentality didn't change. For years, I didn't see the point of relaxing, having a hobby, or even socializing. I remember at one point I was so burnt out, so my husband suggested for me to take some time off and do something that I enjoyed. And that's when I had this realization that the only thing I knew how to do was working hard at my job. To be honest, it was a fairly dark time in my life because I was exhausted from working, but yet when I wasn't working, I had no idea what to do with myself. All these years, I had focused so much on being productive that I hadn't allowed myself any time to look for a hobby or to explore life. I think that's why I became quite obsessed with shopping, because when I bought something nice and expensive, at least I had something tangible to prove that my hard work was worth it. Now, I don't mean to undervalue the virtue of working hard. After all, I am where I am in life now because my husband and I have been working really hard for years. But at the same time, hard work or productivity shouldn't be the only thing that defines who we are. The truth is, you can work really hard at your job and also have a hobby, even if it doesn't generate any income, or prioritize your well-being, or keep in touch with your friends. These things don't have to be mutually exclusive. Now, it goes without saying, most of us have to work, but life is not all about working hard and being productive. This sounds crazy, but it took me years to realize that I don't need to feel guilty about taking some time to really enjoy a cup of tea and a good book. And interestingly, when I allow myself to not be productive, for example, when I slow down, rest, find a hobby or exercise, I feel a lot more centered, and because of that, I actually perform better at my job anyway. So even though these activities might not seem productive on the surface, they are actually nourishing for your well-being, and that, ironically, will contribute to your overall productivity. And that brings me to the second thing I'm no longer doing, and that is overworking to pay for my shopping addiction. Now, shopping itself is not evil, but I was doing it in a way to feel worthy and to get validation from others. And of course, when you keep buying expensive things mindlessly, you have to keep working harder and harder to pay for them. And before you know it, you're trapped in this perpetual rat race. If you read books about personal finance, you know it's very possible to be in a position where you own a lot of beautiful luxury items, when at the same time, your retirement plan looks less than promising. This is why I like to talk about personal finance now and again on my channel. You see, when I transitioned from being a broke student to a healthcare professional making a healthy living, the first thing I thought about was how to spend my money and which designer handbag to purchase. It never dawned on me that I should make investing my priority or that I should work on having more leverage as a young professional. So even though I had a big luxury handbag collection, deep down I was worried about losing my job. And because of that, I didn't think I had the luxury of setting healthy boundaries. This then led me to overworking, and as my stress got more and more overwhelming, my shopping also got got more and more expensive. It wasn't until I found minimalism that I really slowed down and asked myself if I really needed that much. About 4 years ago, I decided to do a low buy year. Now at first, I thought it would be a challenge, seeing just the year before I had made myself a really long luxury wish list. This included a Van Cleef long necklace with 16 sweet Alhambra motifs. Now, deep down, I knew I wouldn't wear much because my life is quite simple and I don't go to many fancy events. In fact, I used to own a magic Alhambra long necklace, which I hardly ever wore. Looking back, it was a form of escapism because, in a strange way, I found comfort from buying things for my fantasy self and my fantasy life. Anyway, the low buy year went really well. Not only did I really cut down on my spending, the experience itself was life-changing. First of all, I realized I didn't need to get validation from shopping. And more importantly, because I wasn't constantly looking for things to buy, I had the mental clarity to look within. From there, my focus shifted from consumption to creating a life that I didn't need to escape from. My husband and I now like to do yearly budgets to estimate how much we need to live a good life. This includes basic expenses, travel, hobbies, and some discretionary shopping. This way, I have a figure to work with, and so I no longer have to overwork for no reason. Instead, I can use that time to enjoy the non-material but important things, such as spending time with my family, working on my illustrations, enjoying nature, and so on. So as you can see, things can really compound in two different ways depending on which decision you make. You can either work really hard, spend everything on shopping, and then go back to work because you have to. Or you can be really intentional, work less, become a happier person, and then go to work because you want to. The third thing I've stopped doing to live a happier life is caring too much about what other people think. I'll be the first person to tell you this is easier said than done. At the end of the day, humans are social creatures and we all to some level want to feel belonged. However, as I grew older, I realized no one really gives that much attention to us as much as we give them credit for. For example, if you buy a new fancy car, there might be some envy and jealousy from your friends or co-workers. But 2 months later, you and your car are probably the last thing on their mind. But guess what? You will still be the one making car payment every month for years to come. I personally find a lot of comfort knowing I'm not the main character in anyone's life but mine. This way, I'm more ready to stay true to myself. For example, a lot of my ex-colleagues thought I was crazy for leaving my professional job in my 30s. I heard things like, "You're wasting an opportunity for capitalizing your skill. It's going to be harder when you come back. What are you going to do with your time?" and so on and so forth. And those were all valid points, but I also knew it was time to leave because first of all, I was burnt out, and secondly, I was financially ready to go on a long career break. And I'm really glad I didn't listen to their well-meaning advice because I really needed that break. In the last year, I was able to heal emotionally and physically. I also had the chance to really slow down and identify the kind of balance I want for my life. I've now returned to work on a part-time basis. Not only do I feel a lot more energized and passionate about the profession, I'm also really enjoying the balance. With a lot of aspects of my life, I now try to not care too much about what others say. For example, many of you know I own designer pieces, but I also love the concept of minimalism. Sometimes I'll see comments like, "You own designer bags, so what makes you think you should talk about minimalism?" Meanwhile, others will say, "You don't buy enough luxury items to talk about luxury topics." So I'm really thankful that at this stage of my life, I worry less about trying to fit in a box or trying to get approval from others. Instead, I use the energy to focus on what works for me. The way I see it, it doesn't have to be strictly one thing or the other. You can very much own designer items and still choose to spend very mindfully. Now, of course, I'm not a saint. I still get upset occasionally when I see a mean comment, but I'm now able to handle differences a lot better. And those are the 3 things I no longer do to live a much more fulfilling and happier life. I often talk about doing things with intentions, whether if it's making big life decisions or buying a pair of shoes, because I really believe every small good decision we make will eventually compound into something much, much bigger. Every year, I like to reflect on how I've grown as a person and what has contributed to that growth. If you're on a similar journey, please share with us the one thing you've started doing intentionally to become the person you aspire to be. Let's keep the conversation going and inspire each other. That's it from me today. Take care and I'll see you soon.